Chakachani. Chakachani. Oh, Kakalostito.
Hello, my name is Jerry S. Gonzalez, and I am the writer and director of There's Something in the Woods.
Hi there, my name is Danielle Malinak, and I am playing the wife in the short film There's Something in the Woods.
Hi, my name is Patrick Deal, and I play the father in There's Something in the Woods.
This story follows a husband and wife as they must venture into a monster-infested woods to save their child from a witch. Along the way, they must learn to work together and overcome the woods, but at a price of their humanity.
And pretty much go on this perilous journey together to rescue our son from the grips from the evil sorceress. I don't know why I did that.
Alright. I'm set.
This is our career, this is our career.
This is how we want to make money.
I think one of the most interesting, most exciting things that I did on the shoot though was being able to exhibit emotion through non-dialogue. It's not a silent film, but there's no talking in it. There's no dialogue.
As an actor, I feel like we can rely heavily on our words, and it was a nice push to rely instead on body language, facial expressions, and micro movements to give this character backstory and life and depth without using words.
One of the things that was actually very, very challenging and fun at the same time was being able to show a realistic emotion for like an intimate scene that me and Danielle had to do, pretty much showing sadness, levels of happiness, loneliness, and just a lot of the layered emotions that people feel when they're going through a crisis. It was the epitome of show, don't tell.
So one of my main goals with this project was to treat it like if it was an animated film, where all the visuals speak for themselves. Plus, if it did have dialogue, it would probably be like, oh no, there's a monster over there, and it's a monster. It'd get tedious super quick.
And cut.
Usually in movies, it just centers around maybe a vampire or a werewolf. You don't get to see a lot of movies that just tackle like an entire realm of monsters. That's something you see in like a video game. So I wanted to make this like a living, breathing world where you can see all kinds of different creatures like goblins and fairies.
The shoot was interesting, to say the least. There was a lot of DIY work we had to do.
I think one of my favorite things about acting in this short film was that we relied heavily on practical effects and old school movie magic to create the fantasy world that our characters lived in.
Every monster you see was a puppet that was manipulated digitally in post, whether it be cloning effects, subtle eye movements, eye glows. All that stuff needed to be enhanced in post just to give it a more eerie feel.
We used green screen, created actual sets to make villages, to make a town. We acted with puppets in full costume instead of computerizing them.
Yeah, we spent several months making props and costumes. There was an entire werewolf sequence, but sadly we had to cut that for time restraints.
Which I thought was really interesting, and I think one of the biggest challenges of that is acting with something that's not there, that you know will be added in later. So it was a challenge to have nothing to look at, but to recreate something in my head, and it was really interesting to watch the finished product of the empty space I was staring at suddenly has a creature in it.
I want to say at least 80% of the movie is visual effects, or has some sort of visual effects, even if you don't see it. At one point, I had to add digital socks because it's colonial times and you can't show that much ankle.
So I am on Instagram and Twitter at @dmalinak. My theater company is called Theater of the Beyond, and we are based at the Playground Theater in Chicago. I hope you enjoy the movie, and thank you.
And unfortunately, you cannot watch the movie just yet. It's circulating film festivals, but soon, or not soon enough, more like you kind of have to wait. It's got like maybe 3 or 2 other ones that has to go, maybe like in a year or 2. It's going to take a while. Don't quote me on that. Except do quote me on that, because I'm the only one that has any say on when you're going to see the film. Thanks for watching. My Twitter and Instagram are on the screen now if you want to follow me, and I hope to see you soon.
One of the things that I want to say I was very grateful for was the amount of off that one of the 80s had brought on the set, because I wasn't smart enough to think about that. We actually shot in the woods, and there were mosquitoes everywhere. It wasn't for that off, I probably would have been dead. Okay, but poor Danielle, they were actually more attracted to her than they were to me, and I was the one who was like in short sleeves, wearing the, you know, the vintage outfit, and she had this dress on, and they just kept on eating her legs alive, and I felt really bad. So, but she pulled through. Danielle is she's resilient.